Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Million Dollar Media. I'm your host, Max Kellerholz, and today we're going to be doing another solo review because I couldn't get anybody to watch this movie with me, and probably for good reasons. Today we're going to be talking about The Flash. Yes, I understand this is late, but I didn't really care to see this in theaters because I didn't want to dogpile on the hate. But I sat down last night and started to watch the movie, and I'm just going to give you my thoughts on it. So what this movie is about is Barry Allen, played by Ezra Miller. We will get to that. We will get to that. He's been the Flash for I don't know, like maybe a year. His mother died at a young age, and his father was blamed for her murder. And so he's been trying to figure out a way to prove his father's innocence for years now. And suddenly he figures out how to do time travel just by getting really mad and starting to run. When he figures out that he can do time travel, he decides to go back in time, save his mom from getting murdered by moving just a can of tomatoes. I shit you not. That is the plot. And from there, things went fucked up right off the bat. There's no more metahumans. There's no Aquaman. There's no Wonder Woman. There's no Cyborg. Hell, Shazam. But there's no metahumans. And just so happened, Zod shows up. Zod, yes, the one from Man of Steel, shows up. They basically have to find a way to stop Zod by gathering as many heroish people as they can. And who do they go to but Batman, played by Michael Keaton. Alright, I'm going to start off talking a little bit positives with this movie because I think that there are some good things in the movie. I did not hate myself watching this. There were some moments where I laughed. There were some moments where I was entertained. And there were some moments that actually kind of moved me a bit. Not to the point of tears, but I was definitely like, oh, this is actually kind of touching. And yeah, I definitely had a low bar going into this movie just because of everything surrounding it, and the reactions online that it had didn't really make me go like, oh yeah, let's go see this movie. I'll say this. Biggest thing that worked for me in this movie and kind of makes this movie not terrible is I really enjoyed the stuff with his mom. I thought they managed to capture the overall tragedy and sadness of the Flash with the idea that he has the power to save his mom, but he knows in doing that it will ruin everything else. I don't know. I like the actor. I forgot her name at the moment, but she was really good. I also found it interesting that they made her Hispanic because I never that's just new. It's interesting. But yeah, the mom stuff really got to me. Like the other thing I thought was really good in the movie was I really liked this stuff with Batman. And both versions. So in the beginning, I liked getting to see the Ben Affleck Batman do a little bit more action. It's sad that we'll never really get to see him again for reasons in the film, and also good reason because I'd rather have him be healthy than forcing himself to work out and going back to alcoholism. I'd rather that be the case. I definitely enjoyed the stuff in the beginning with Batman. Unfortunately, that was also ruined. I'll get to that later. But then when we go to the alternate reality where we get to see Michael Keaton Batman, I really like that too. I like getting to see the Batman from the 80s and all of his gadgets go toe to toe with things that are from modern day superhero movies, and I thought that was actually kind of fun. I like that all his gadgets were retro and stuff. I don't know, I thought that was really cool, and the action for him was cool. It's definitely the fastest he's at action scene that Batman has ever had, and I really liked it. It was really good. That was the stuff I was like, wow, this is actually really well directed. And then the other thing and last thing for me that I really liked and I would like to see going forward was Sasha Calle as Supergirl. I like the different take on Supergirl here. It's probably from some version of the comics, but I really like their take here. I thought she just had a really interesting presence to her throughout the film, and she was criminally underused. I mean, I get it. I understand that it is a Flash movie, so you have to focus on the Flash. But for what time we had, I thought she made an impression. And I know that in James Gunn's new DC universe, they're going to be developing a Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow movie. And from what I hear, darker take on Supergirl, I think she would fit much better in that. I think she was a great actress, and I'd like to see more of her in general. Yeah, that's kind of all I had for positives. But I'll say this: these are very strong positives that don't make this movie terrible. I'm gonna get into the reasons why I can't say that this is a good movie, though. And personally, I'm gonna get biases out of the way. I cannot stand Ezra Miller's face and/or voice. I find them really annoying. I never liked them being casted in the first place. Ever since I saw that first Justice League trailer, and that I don't like the look of this Flash. And yeah, from the get-go, I've never liked this casting. Now look, I'm not a Snyder supporter, but I don't hate the guy, and I was actually kind of pleasantly surprised with the Snyder cut. I'm not going to be one of those YouTubers who goes into what was better, but one thing I can say is throughout all the cuts, I never liked Ezra Miller, and they have never proven to me why they were casted as the Flash. I feel like Ezra Miller worked better as a character actor and like doing smaller roles like the Dumbledore's whatever the fuck in those movies, and we need to talk about Kevin, which is kind of ironic now. And the thing that made it extra funny for me, there's two Barry Allens. One is the future Barry Allen, or prime Barry Allen, where he's been the Flash, he's had his experience, he's still annoying. Then when he goes back in time, he meets his alternate self. And this is where I was just like so annoyed with the film because that version of Barry was so fucking annoying. There's some scenes where they do the clone thing where it's like, oh, there's two the same person in the same room really well, and I was really impressed because there's a lot of moving camera angles. I thought that was interesting. However, that gets ruined because there are clearly some times you can tell that is a CG person, and it just takes me right out because I'm like, oh yeah, I'm watching an effect. The eyes look dead and the mouth looks weird. Yeah, just literally the title character of the film I hate. And that sucks because I do like the Flash in the comics, and I also really like Grant Gustin's version of the Flash. I watched the first like 4 to 5 seasons, enjoyed them, never really wanted to go back. The story kind of teetered off for me, and just but I still really like the cast in that. But yeah, that's enough about my main problems with the Flash himself, not the movie. Well, actually, yeah, that's pretty much my main big problem. I thought that both villains in this movie sucked, and that's a shame because Michael Shannon in Man of Steel is one of my favorite DCEU villains. I really liked the presence he had. I don't know. I just really like Michael Shannon in that role, and I like Michael Shannon in general. And you can tell he does not give a fuck in this film. Like he looks so bored, and like all of his line deliveries are just kind of wooden. It's just really sad to see like them ruin one of my favorite villains. And then the other villain, which you know what, this is gonna be spoilers because the movie's been out. This Dark Flash. I thought it was cool initially, but then that even got boring because there's no real confrontation. It's literally just they talk, one goes to throw a punch, and one of them dies, and then that's it. There's no confrontation. There's no cool, like, why do I care? And it just felt really unnecessary when the situation itself was more dire and interesting. Like, hey, us fucking with time is causing, like, reality itself to just get unwind. That's an interesting concept in itself. And, like, why do you need this just, like, random fucking Flash character just for some lame twist that really isn't needed all that much? Yeah, the villains in this movie just sucked. And when you like your villains suck, like you don't really care about the journey that your main character's going through, or any of your characters are going through. The thing that bothered me so much, and I definitely know that it's not the fault of the people who did it, but I feel like this movie was just completely made out of rubber. Like nothing looked good. I hated the Flash's costume. It looked so fucking weird. His head is too big for his skinny ass body. Eh, Like there's moments where it looks like just like like an old PS2 video game, like Budokai Tenkaichi. But in that's actually cool because I can play that. This I'm just watching plastic toys hit each other, and I feel like there's just a lot of CG in this movie where there just didn't need to be CG. I definitely know that it's not the fault of the CG artists because with time and money, CG artists can do really outstanding things. I just don't know what happened here. This movie has been in development hell for years. Like, this has been decades at this point. Maybe even longer than for The Rock's Black Adam. This movie has been, like, talked about and has gone through so many fucking directors at this point. Rick Famuyiwa from Dope and The Mandalorian. Lord and Miller from Spider-Verse. Robert Zemeckis at one point. You know, Back to the Future, which they reference in this movie, like, all the fucking time. Probably others that I didn't mention, but, like, this movie has been through hell. At one point, they hired Grant Morrison, a famous comic book writer, to come in and write a treatment of The Flash. And he released some ideas about what that was. And I thought that was way more interesting for The Flash as a character than what this was. Where I feel like now, like, if they do anything with The Flash, which they are definitely not going to, it's just going to be downhill from here because you literally did, like, The Flash's biggest comic book story. Maybe that in Crisis on Infinite Earths. I mean, I talked about the CG earlier, but the thing that really bothered me is just like out of nowhere in the end of the movie, we get these cameos that are literally just hi. Or actually, they don't even speak. They just walk on and then they just cut away. Why did we need to see that? Like, there's no point other than you want the internet to just go like, things you missed, and this person was in the movie. Like, yeah, would I have liked to have seen Nicolas Cage as Superman? Fuck, yes. But I want to see him as a character, not as a walk-on cameo. Like, hell, the stuff from the 1966 Batman had better cameos than this shit. At least those are funny. Why? And the one thing that bothered me the most is they were using George Reeves' Superman. And if you don't know anything about what happened with George Reeves, I'm just going to give like a little trigger warning. It is said that he committed suicide. I know there's some theories that he was either murdered, but from what the report says, he committed suicide because he was not able to get other roles besides Superman. And to just bring him back in the CG form just felt really mean spirited. Like you don't need that. The dude committed suicide because of all this shit. Just to show that, oh yeah, he will always be remembered as Superman, which is what he did not want to have happen. But yeah, that just bothered me. I just don't like that. Like that really pissed me off. And I mean, yeah, there is also Christopher Reeve and the actress who played Supergirl in that one movie. Yeah, I that's a bit different because Christopher Reeve enjoyed playing Superman and he stopped acting due to health reasons and such. I don't mind that. It's still a little late. Why are we doing this? Actually, now that I think about it, most of the cameos that they showed are of dead people. Because you see at one point Adam West Batman. Are you only doing this because you can CG them up and like show that? Why are you doing this? This is just horrible. I don't know. It just bothered me. Like, and just to like, hey, we're just gonna have characters and Easter eggs for mostly fan service. If you're gonna have cameos, have them mean something. I'll say like how they did Michael Keaton in this movie. That's why I like that. He's a character. He goes through an arc. They bring him back as Batman. Yeah, I just didn't really like this movie. Like, I can't say it's a horrible film because yes, I did enjoy some parts, and honestly, this movie has the same flaw that I have with any other interpretation of Flashpoint. Flashpoint, the story at some point focuses way too much on how different this universe is with like in the comics Thomas Wayne Batman or the Atlantean Amazonian War. In this it's the Kryptonian invasion. Where I feel like if we had a little bit more time with the mom, maybe her finding out that he is the Flash and such, and that he's a hero and that she may be proud of him, that would be really cool. And like, yeah, that's the one thing about this story that I never really enjoyed. I think the only interpretation of it is actually in the Flash TV show where they actually spent time with the mom. But yeah, I don't know. Just actually, I do know. I just didn't like the film. I'm hoping that James Gunn can salvage this mess because DC for the last couple of years has been really up and down. There's been some great castings of like characters like Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn. I'm gonna miss Henry Cavill as Superman, but no, this universe needed to go. Like they fucked it up. They tried to rush with Marvel. Now they're gonna take their time and hopefully fix everything going forward. That's my thoughts on the movie. Definitely gonna try to get this review up as soon as possible. Comment down below what you think of the movie, and I just want to hear different opinions. I want to see if people liked it. I want to see if people really hated it because that's interesting. I just want to see a cool conversation go down in the comments and not people saying like your voice sucks, which I know, but fuck off. No, don't fuck off. Like stay. I really appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share. If you haven't already, go follow us on Instagram. I hope you all have a good day and bye.